Hey, I'm Chad Bell. I'm with CSA, and I'm here with Roy Hooker. He's the father of Bailey Hooker. Bailey is a senior or a rising senior shooting guard and small forward basketball player at Steinbrenner High School. And Bailey and Roy just took a trip up to the Carolinas, a recruiting trip. She attended a couple of camps. She met a couple of coaches, had some unofficial visits, and I know that we talked several times through that trip, not to say the least.
Yes, we did.
And I'd like to just kind of hear from your perspective how the trip went for Bailey.
Great, Chad. Well, thank you for this opportunity. The recruiting trip lasted about 7 days, 4 days longer than what we packed for originally.
And why was that?
We started off at the Wofford Elite Camp, and we had some time to see some other universities, and we drove up to Gardner-Webb, and Bailey fell in love with the campus, and she liked the coaches, and they invited her to stay, but their camp was a week after the Wofford camp. So we decided to see the Carolinas, see what schools are up there. You were gracious enough to show us on a map what schools were within driving distance. Mm-hmm. So we began our trip. And
there's a lot of them, weren't there?
There were a lot of schools. In 1 week, we ended up seeing 8 schools.
Wow.
Actually, meeting with 8 coaches at the 8 different schools, and then seeing one other school. So it was a total of 9 schools on that week trip.
9 schools in 7 days?
9 schools, 7 days, yeah.
That's a lot of traveling.
It's a lot of traveling, 2,000 miles.
Now, let me ask you this. Knowing what you know now after the trip, would you do it again?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I think it was an invaluable piece of our recruiting process, and I can't thank CSA enough for guiding us. We had Chad on speaker as we left one school, and he was setting up the appointments for the next, and we just went school to school, and we could not have done this without you guys and without your help.
I'll tell you what, Bailey sure does make it a lot easier to put her in front of college coaches because she's getting it done, obviously, on the court and in the classroom as well. And if you weren't available and supportive of Bailey, then this trip wouldn't have taken place either. Tell me a little bit about the experience that Bailey had. At these, let's talk about the camps first. How was the Wofford camp?
The Wofford camp was the first one that we stopped at. It had some good competition. It was their elite camp. They had about 35 girls there. What may be different this year than in previous years is that these schools are allowed to bring in their incoming scholarship athletes, their incoming freshmen. So Wofford had their 4 scholarship athletes there. And the coach said, we want to see how our camp competes against them to see which players may rise or fall against their incoming freshmen.
Sure.
So it was a really good litmus test for Bailey to go head-to-head against some of their freshmen.
And how did Bailey do against the incoming freshmen?
Bailey actually did very well against the girl she was matched up at Wofford. It went back and forth. She got her sometimes, and sometimes a girl got her. But considering she's a rising senior, we were real proud of her effort.
Versus an incoming freshman member of the team.
That's right.
So the coaches probably liked that a lot.
Yeah, the coaches pulled us to the side and said they were very impressed with how Bailey played against their incoming girls.
Nice. And then you guys hit a couple schools in between, after the Wofford camp.
We did. We did.
Tell me a little bit about those visits.
Yeah, those visits, I feel like I'm living vicariously through my daughter a little bit because
you are.
But it was a thrill to go into the coach's office, to sit across from them, to hear about their vision for their programs, for them to give us a tour of the campus, to see the academic side of the school and what's important to us. Then to see their facilities and their the inside of their war room and their film room. And if you're a sports junkie like me, it doesn't get much better than that.
That's awesome. And then to roll out the red carpet for Bailey, that's not necessarily a bad thing from a father's perspective either, is it?
No, it really kind of warmed this dad's heart to see them take interest in my daughter. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, how do you think, and from your perspective, how do you think Bailey handled being interviewed by these coaches and interacting with these coaches, both during the camps and on the tours, on the schools that she did not participate in a camp?
And it really started even prior to this trip with her needing to make phone calls and returning phone calls to the coaches and speaking to an adult one-on-one. That's sometimes overwhelming for a young person
Sure.
even for a dad. Sometimes
Even for
it is
an adult, sure.
Sure. But you guys have coached us as being a part of your organization. You have given us things to say, questions to ask, points to make. And so in our 2,000-mile ride, we role played in the car. And I played
Nice.
coach, and she played player, and then we even reversed it, and she got to play coach, and I played player, and we just practiced the interviews.
You had a couple hours to
We
nail
did,
that down,
we did.
didn't you?
Yeah, she begged me to stop after about an hour.
Awesome. Okay, so she attended 2 camps. She visited 6 other schools. And she even had, this college will remain nameless, but she even had a college attend one of those camps to watch her play as an audience member, correct?
She did. She actually, there were 2 schools that came to this one camp with permission of the coach that was holding the camp. They have a good relationship, and he invited these other 2 schools that are interested in Bailey to come and watch. We were versed on the rules. Don't be upset if they don't talk to us. Don't talk to them.
Sure.
If you have to see them from a distance, you can give them a nod, but don't give them a big wave. So we play by the rules. But at our last camp, there were quite a few coaches there to watch her play.
Oh, that's outstanding. So that's even more value from that one camp because multiple colleges were able to see her play, not just the camp that she was attending.
Right.
Well, let me ask you this. With Bailey having this trip underneath her belt, okay, if you didn't take the trip, do you think that she would be as far along in her recruiting process now without this trip?
No, this catapulted Bailey into a decision, both from the school and from her perspective, that we would not be there without this trip.
Okay.
It's one thing to see the schools on their website. It's another thing to actually walk the campus.
Sure.
To meet with the coaches.
Actually feel it?
To feel it.
Sure.
She made a comment to me that when I asked her about one particular school that we visited, she sat down with the coaches. She said, "Dad, I liked them around the table, but they're different than they were on the phone. And to be able to sit across a table from them, I have a completely different feel from them now."
So maybe a better feel for them after she met them face-to-face versus on the phone?
Yes, and a negative, too.
Okay.
Which is very important.
Sure.
She was able to say, "I really liked the feel of this coach, and I didn't like the feel of this coach."
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's always important as well. Is it safe to say that when you guys were coming back home on that long road trip, no more interviews this time because the interviews had already taken place, okay? Was she able to kind of create a list of schools in terms of her order of priority as to where she wanted to attend, either from the coaches, liking the coaches, the basketball program, the college, the feel for the college, or all of the above?
Yeah, we created a grid, and we scored our interviews based upon academics, based upon coach, team, how they saw Bailey fit into their team, where she would play if they were to offer her. And then as we drove away, we went through the grid and we rated the teams. And I asked her, "Tell me your top 5," and it changed
Every
single trip,
every single visit.
And your first question to me when we talk is, what's your top 5 look like?
Right.
But our top 5 now looks completely different than it did prior to our recruiting trip that you helped us facilitate. Yes.
Outstanding. And now we feel like we're in a pretty good position to receive an offer or 2 or 3 from this trip.
We left this trip with 2 offers.
Okay.
Smaller Division II school offers.
Okay.
Her heart is to play Division I basketball. We were told that because of this trip and because of her workout, that the 2 Division I schools that she's most interested in, both are bringing her in for an official visit.
Oh, outstanding. So, and that's going to be so the plan from here, as I understood it from you guys, is that they're going to come and watch her in the July evaluation period and then invite her back up for an official visit, of which they will pay for to have her come back up.
That's right. And they wanted some additional game film prior to that, which that was my homework as soon as I got home, is put some more film in the mail too.
A lot of film
Lots
in the
of
mail.
film, that's
Absolutely.
right. And they don't want the highlight films that Dad likes. They want the game film.
They want the full game film
Yes,
to see what they're doing away from the ball and when the ball's not in their hands.
And
Absolutely.
timeouts, are they watching the coach or are they just upset on the sideline? So, yeah.
Excellent. So overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, this trip, 10 being the greatest, 1 being the worst, 5 being in the middle, where would Bailey put this trip on her scale?
It's funny you ask that because Father's Day, she wrote me a letter, and she said one of the highlights of our relationship was this trip.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So basketball will come and go, but memories of this trip, it's a lifetime.
There's a lot more than talking to basketball coaches.
Yeah, it really was.
It really was.
Yeah.
Well, on Dad's scale of 1 to 10, where's this trip?
100? Can I go that high?
You can go.
Yeah, it was an amazing trip.
Well, I tell you what, you guys are just absolutely a joy to work with, and Bailey's just killing it on the court. She's an excellent student as well. Your support of her and making yourself available to put her in these situations to be successful makes my job a lot easier as well. And I've thoroughly enjoyed working with Bailey, and I can't wait to, until she commits and picks the school that she wants to go to and spend the next 4 years of her life.
Well, this relationship that we have with you and with CSA is so crucial and so important to this process. We were lost before we started it, and you have guided us, from a friendship perspective, from a professional perspective, and
we weren't friends. We didn't even know each other before this. We've become friends throughout the process.
We have, but I'm a huge fan of CSA, and I'm very thankful for you and your organization.
Well, we couldn't appreciate the kind words more, and thank you so much, and thank you for your support, and can't wait till signing day.
That's right.
So thank you very much.
Okay, Chad.